something about not getting it wet, too.
Well, we prefer not to get it wet. To get it wet, you want to dry it out within a couple of days because mildew can set in. There's a coating on the inside of the fabric that keeps the air from just seeping through the weave, and that can degrade quite quickly with mildew. But with weather looking really good for later this afternoon and this early this evening, all chances are they're going to be able to get them out. We'll be able to dry them out by then. So.
What about the risk of fire?
The bottom half, you look at the Tweety Bird here, the darker fabric is Nomex, like a fireman's jacket.
Oh.
That's where the fire is the closest to the, what we call the envelope, the balloon part. Above that, the flame is so far away from it, you're fine. So, but you do have to watch it when you're inflating. You're inflating because it's all laying on the ground, as you've been seeing this morning. You know, the mouth, we call the bottom of the envelope, the mouth can kind of mush and move around somewhat. So you're watching that, and then your crew is with the cables. If they see that mouth is starting to close up, they're pulling it out and stuff so that you don't
call
scorch
the
it.
balloon part the envelope?
The envelope, yes. All together, it's a balloon.
Oh.
But you know, you start out, you have the basket, you have a frame that the burner's on top of, and you attach the envelope. And only once it's together is it a balloon by the FAA. We're regulated by the government as much as 747s are.
Wow.
So pilots have to be licensed and everything.
Can I ask you,
Yes.
how to turn? I mean, to left and right?
Oh, you don't?
You don't?
There's no steering.
No
There's
steering.
the mercy where God blows you. So pilots
Really?
spend 2 to 3 hours studying the weather forecast to have a 45-minute to an hour flight.
Okay.
And, so yeah, there's a lot of pre-planning by the pilots to make sure they know where they're going, it's going to be safe, no restricted areas by the government such as the DC no-fly zone, stuff like that. So
I think of ballooning as something that started like, I mean, my imagination is 1800s France. I don't know when it actually
France
started.
and go back farther, 1700s, 1783.
What happened then?
There was a gentleman, he was sitting at home with the big open hearth, fireplaces, wife's blouse is drying in the laundry, and he goes, "That's inflating. What's going on?" And him and his brother, Joseph and Auntie Emma Gauffier, they started doing experimenting. They had a cloth paper factory, making it from scraps of fabric, doing cloth and paper that way. And they started experimenting with small, like Chinese lantern stuff. And they eventually got to the point they made a balloon about half the size of the Tweety Bird. And they had a lit straw fire on the ground. And they had all these crew members holding it over the fire. And once they thought it had enough heat, they let it go. And off it went. No basket, no continuing fire, just off it went by itself. And then they started working towards a balloon the size of what you're seeing today. But by this time, King Louis the 16th, if I got my numbers right, of France gets wind of their experiments and says, you know,
No pun
early days of
intended.
science.
No pun intended, right?
Right. There's the early days of science. We're still discovering the gases in the atmosphere, and we don't know if there's anything to breathe 200 feet off the ground. So don't send any humans. We want you to send up guinea pigs. So they made a wicker basket to hang underneath the balloon after they pulled it off the lit straw fire again. A chicken, a duck, and a rooster, and off they flew. And as it came down about 20 minutes later, the basket crashed open, animals escaped fine, and everything was good. And the brothers never flew. I've not found any report that the brothers ever flew. They found 2 pilots to be the pilot of first manned flight in 1783. And now they go, okay, now we need something to stand on, and we're going to take a lit straw fire aboard a cotton balloon. And so they had a basket that not underneath but more like a ring around the side, and a hole on each opposite side that they could continue feeding the straw in to keep the fire going. And they also, with it being cotton and fear of fires, they had long poles with wet sponges on the end that they could dab out the fires in the fabric. And after about 20 minutes, these 2 pilots, they got concerned. They take their long overcoats and they smother out the fire and come down. And at that point, hot air ballooning basically died off, but another gentleman in England got wind of their experiments, news of their experiments to spread to England, but he didn't realize they were using hot air. The news was somewhat fragmented. He thought they were using hydrogen. And then gas ballooning started about the same time. Gas ballooning continued on. Gas ballooning basically about half the size of the balloons you're seeing tonight, and you're sealing it off. You're filling with hydrogen or helium, no fire, and the sandbags to release weight
I can
and
see the
adjust your
Zeppelins
altitude.
on the way.
And so that took off from there and continued on. What you see today with the basket and burners burning propane, that got started in 1960. A gentleman by the name of Ed Yost was contracted by the Navy to come up with a modern hot air balloon.
Variety?
Reconnaissance?
And pardon?
Reconnaissance.
I don't know what their purpose was. They never used it. Navy never used it. It